Shalom. This week we are reading and studying Parashat Terumah. So, since it's Parashat Terumah, how's your Chinese? As everybody knows, feng shui, a term literally translated as wind and wind-water in English, is a Chinese philosophical system of harmonizing people with the surrounding environments. Traditional feng shui is an ancient system based upon the observation of heavenly time and earthly space, used to find correlations between humans and the universe. The feng shui practice discusses architecture in metaphoric terms of invisible forces that, quote, bind the universe, earth, and humanity together, known as qi. The goal of feng shui, as practiced today, is to situate the human-built environment on spots with good qi. The perfect spot is a location and an axis in time. That's all Chinese to me, but it seems, really, that man has been looking for that perfect spot, the spot that binds the universe, earth, and humanity together for a long time. But what makes the spot we're all looking for so special? One of the world's most beloved novels is the 1933 Lost Horizon by British author James Hilton. In Lost Horizon, the author describes a fictional place called Shangri-La. Shangri-La is a mystical, harmonious valley, gently guided from a lamasery, enclosed in the western end of the Kunlun Mountains. Since the appearance of that novel, the very word Shangri-La has become synonymous with any earthly paradise, particularly a mythical Himalayan utopia, a permanently happy land isolated from the outside world. Now, aside from the fact that no one grows old there, Shangri-La is a place where everything gets fixed, where everything becomes clear and everything is ultimately as it should be. And again, who's not looking for such a place? In the 1939 movie, The Wizard of Oz, actress Judy Garland, in her starring role as Dorothy Gale, about 5 minutes into the film, was looking for just such a place. She sang a song written for that movie by Harold Arlen and E.Y. Harburg, a ballad called Over the Rainbow, erroneously referred to sometimes as Somewhere Over the Rainbow. The song won the Academy Award for Best Original Song and became Garland's signature song, as well as one of the most enduring standards of the 20th century. After failing to get her aunt and uncle to listen to her relate an unpleasant incident involving her dog Toto and the difficult Miss Gulch, Dorothy's Aunt Em tells her to find yourself a place where you won't get into any trouble. This prompts Dorothy to walk off by herself, musing to her dog Toto, someplace where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto? There must be. It's a place. It's not a place you can get to by boat or a train. It's far, far away, behind the moon, beyond the rain, at which point she begins singing, and I'll spare you my rendition. Well, don't we all need a place like this? This idea of a special place, a sacred place, inviolate, unsullied, restorative, protected, and protective, seems to be manifest in every culture and tradition. This theme has captivated mankind since the beginning of time. I guess since man was banished from that original over-the-rainbow place, the Garden of Eden. Since then, as Joni Mitchell sang in Woodstock, we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, the Torah teaches that God himself, as it were, is looking for just such a place in this world. And here's the bottom line. He's waiting for an invitation. As the Midrash so succinctly states, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Arba said, the Holy One, blessed be He, desired to have an abode below, just as he has one above. And when Israel stood before him at Sinai, he told them, there's only one reason I delivered you out of Egypt, and that was in order for you to erect for me a tabernacle, so that my presence will dwell among you. Since we began the Torah cycle with Parashat Breshit, Genesis, the whole of Torah has been deliberately and decidedly advancing to this point, the whole of history. From Genesis, the creation of Adam and his banishment, all the ups and downs and disappointments and false starts, the flood, the dispersion, the tower, the overturning of Sodom, the selection of the forefathers and the intense spiritual trail that they blazed, the covenant between Abraham and Hashem, at the covenant between the portions, the descent into Egypt, Israel's slavery and redemption, the nation's march through the Sea of Reeds and trek to Sinai, the revelation and giving of the Torah. It's all been towards and about this moment. This has been the master plan all along, the establishment of a house for God to where all of humanity will flow to seek his presence. As the prophet Isaiah states, "For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations, and an abode for his Torah, a place from which Torah emanates." As Isaiah also states, "For out of Zion shall go forth Torah, and the word of God from Jerusalem." This is the hope of humanity. So this is a sort of earthly paradise, but not really. It's an earthly home where Hashem would be invited and welcomed. But it's not a special place in the make-believe or unrealistic Shangri-La or over-the-rainbow sense. So everything that happens in the tabernacle and later the Holy Temple is quite real and tangible. This place is to be firmly rooted in this world, in reality as we know it. And yet it's a place where heaven and earth meet, as the patriarch Yaakov saw in his dream, which he had at this very spot, a ladder reaching into heaven, but firmly placed upon the earth. A place so very much of this earth that, as we learned at the conclusion of Parashat Yitro, God tells us specifically after we witnessed the revealed miracles of Sinai and thought to ourselves, how do we serve such a God who has no end? God said, "Build for me an altar of earth." So God entrusts the Israelites, specifically as we read in the very first verse of Parashat Terumah, those whose hearts motivate them, he entrusts them to build him this house. And as the book of Exodus's focus on these commandments begins to unfold in this week's Torah portion, we begin to learn of the commandment to build the tabernacle, suitable to the harsh conditions of traveling through the wilderness before the nation was to enter into the land. But ultimately, once the nation is settled in her land, the land of Israel, as we shall see and learn, this home can only be built in one place. As the Torah itself will tell us so many times, the place that I will choose, and God says, the place that I will show you, namely Jerusalem, Mount Moriah, Har Habayit, the Temple Mount, the starting point and center of creation, birthplace, as it were, of Adam, the heart of the world. The commandment to build the temple in that spot is forever and is equally applicable today. What makes this spot so special is that it's the one place that God chose to, as he puts it, rest his presence. So that's the place where God desires to rest his presence. No wonder there is so much opposition to that idea from so many quarters. As far as Israel is concerned, unfortunately, it seems to be lost on some people, rationalized away or excused or even ignored. But the whole point of this place and of the more than 200 mitzvot, commandments in the Torah associated with the tabernacle / temple, and its service, the whole point is that God wants to rest his presence. It's about God. That's why the two linchpin verses in this week's Parsha speak to the children of Israel and let them take for me a portion. And then verse 8, chapter 25, and they shall make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them. Both of these verses employ the word li, God saying, for me. Let them take for me an offering, let them build for me a sanctuary, regardless of what the people think or prefer or find convenient or relevant or politically correct. And where else in the Holy Torah do we find God speaking about himself and saying, do such and such for me, or this is for me? I think it would be very instructive to look at those verses. In Genesis 15 and verse 9, we find at the covenant between the portions with our father Abraham, God says, take for me 3 heifers, 3 goats, etc. In Exodus 5:1, God states, and they will celebrate to me. And then in Exodus 6:7, he says, I will take you to me. In Exodus 23:2, speaking about the firstborn, he says, sanctify to me. In Exodus 19:6, speaking about the nation of Israel, he says that you will be to me a kingdom of priests. And of course, in chapter 20, we read, God says, build an altar for me. In chapter 23 of the book of Exodus, in verse 14, 3 times a year you will celebrate to me. And here in our portion, in chapter 25, verses 2 and 8, take for me a Teruma, an offering, and build for me a sanctuary. And how sadly, strangely, tragically ironic that some of us feel so disconnected from this idea and designate it as irrelevant or evolved or replaced or archaic or impractical or even mythical, as if we were relevant and authorized and equipped to determine relevancy. But what if it's not about us? What if God's command concerning every man whose heart motivates him is calling on us to realize that everything we have, even our possessions, are about taking a stand for God and taking that which He has given us, which is most precious to us, and moving over, making room and bringing light and purpose and sanctity into the world. The tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, the table, the menorah. Torah is exceedingly specific about how to construct the tabernacle and its furnishings, the functionality of those furnishings, and where each item should be placed. Is this about how this home should be set up? This isn't about feng shui. This isn't about a building at all. It's about man living aware, centered on, and focused upon God's presence in this world in every aspect of our lives. This is more than a safe space. This is more than a paradise. This is more than a sacred place. This house for God is a home for mankind to find himself. Teruma means to lift up. Teruma means to rise above the dark forces that hold man back. This is a controlled environment whose every function and detail is designed to enhance man's sensitivity to the significance of his own life. And talk about getting back to the garden. Small wonder that our sages teach us that on some level, the Temple Mount is the location of the Garden of Eden. And in this enigmatic teaching, they state that the tree of knowledge is the location of the temple's altar, and the tree of life is the location of the Holy of Holies. We could spend forever discussing the implications of these esoteric statements, but meanwhile, on the simplest level, what does this mean? This is the location of the Garden of Eden. Everything that goes on in the Holy Temple, every aspect of the divine service that we will now be learning about for the remainder of the book of Exodus and the entire book of Leviticus, every aspect of the divine service and every action taken by the Kohanim, the priests who are serving there, every aspect is an aspect of fixing what went wrong in the Garden of Eden. It's the continuing saga of man's fixing his relationship with God and taking responsibility for himself and the world. So God says, Li, take for me. In Parashat Terumah, God instructs Moshe to speak to the children of Israel and let them take a portion for me, from every man whose heart motivates him. Teruma is translated as a portion, but it's also a contribution, a donation, and literally the root of the word means to raise up, to elevate, to sanctify. So the children of Israel are invited to take of their own possessions, which God gave them as a gift outright when they left Egypt, gold and silver and copper, finely dyed skins, wool, linen, wood, oil, spices, and gems, to raise up every material possession, every material desire, raise these things up and use it, as we read in verse 8 of chapter 25, to make for me a sanctuary. Towards what end? Then what happens? The verse continues and says, and I will dwell among them. this lifting up, as the verses testify, is a matter of the heart. Building the tabernacle was then, and building the holy temple is now, a matter of every man whose heart motivates him, who wants to see a better world, who's looking for that special place, who cares? Who cares about showing Hashem that indeed we would like to make room for him, because it's not about us. The Parshiot in the Torah concerning the commandments of the tabernacle and its vessels contain a world of knowledge. So much detail. The website of the Temple Institute, templeinstitute.org, offers hundreds of study aids, lessons, illustrations, and articles on this world of knowledge. Please avail yourself of this invaluable resource to study in depth about all the details that we will be learning about in Parashat Terumah and Tetzaveh. The Institute's sister site, universaltorah.com, and its YouTube channel offer hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of video teachings. For nearly 30 years, the Temple Institute has been the leading center for all aspects of study, preparation, education, and activism needed for the reestablishment of the Holy Temple in our time. The Temple Institute, I remind you, is a non-profit educational organization that seeks to inspire, educate, research, and implement the Torah's commandments of building the Holy Temple. The Temple Institute is literally the originator of all temple and Temple Mount consciousness in our generation and after generations of misunderstanding and disconnect. The Temple Institute has begun to successfully reconnect the Jewish people and the whole world with the Temple Mount, and the fact that Har HaBayit, the Temple Mount, is the center of our lives, and that the building of the Holy Temple is the key to Israel's future and world peace and harmony. Over 1 million visitors to Jerusalem have experienced the awe of seeing the rebuilt sacred temple vessels that have been reconstructed according to painstaking research and scholarship. Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and let them take for me a portion. Let them raise up, let them elevate a contribution for me. From every man whose heart motivates him, you shall take my portion." Parashat Terumah is a time that is traditionally associated with offerings for the Holy Temple. If your heart motivates you and you value the work of the Temple Institute, please help the Temple Institute to fulfill God's commandment of, "And they shall make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them in our time."